What's up, guys? We're gonna get a good video today. We got something good. There's this woman named Priya Patel, right? She's going viral on X because she's Indian, of course. Well, she's half Indian, half white. She looks like a white girl, but her last name is Patel, so we can see that she does have Indian descent. Her dad's Indian, her mom's white, and she's like the new Republican right wing girl. So she made a video talking about how immigration, needs to be handled, and if you're not supportive of America, you're not America first, you need to be deported. If you're an illegal immigrant, you need to be deported. Stuff like that. And she's been getting a lot of backlash from people of both sides, actually. This is actually pretty interesting. It's not like you're just like your general kind of predictable thing. Like, it's pretty interesting how they're reacting to her. And I think watching her, she was on Piers Morgan a couple of days ago. So I think watching this kind of explains the view a little bit more, you know. But let me make sure I got this thing set up right. Boopity beep bop, boopity bop. But yeah, you guys go ahead and show love to the video. Send the likes my way, man. Like, comment, let me know. Let me know what's going on with you. But okay, let's go ahead and check this out.
Be clear, when you say not all cultures are equal, which cultures in your view are inferior?
I mean, quite a few, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and call out people's specific cultures, however.
Well, which ones? Which cultures?
I mean,
why not? Call it out.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Sure.
Well, if we're going to be honest, see, they're trying to get a gotcha. They're leftists, they're liberals. They're like, oh my gosh, she said something is inferior. But none of you guys would go live in Africa. None of you guys would go live in India. None of you guys would go live in Bangladesh. There's multiple countries you guys would never live in. So let's stop acting like all cultures are equal. They're not. They're just not.
Fine. Afghanistan would be a good example.
You wouldn't live there either.
Not a culture.
In this video, conservative influencer Priya Patel comes onto Piers Morgan and censored trying to defend her now viral anti-immigration talking points, but it quickly spirals. Panelist Brian Shapiro steps in and puts her on the spot, exposing a glaring contradiction tied to her own family background. And just when you think it can't escalate further, she delivers a moment that completely drops the filter and shocks the entire panel.
Oh, Brian Shapiro, this got a huge kickback, this very short video. It's gone hugely viral, obviously. The main sort of issue that people have had with this is that Priya Patel is basically lecturing people about immigration in the United States, but it's called Priya Patel and therefore presumably has a heritage which might be in conflict with the statement. What's your view of this?
Well, first of all, Pierce, good to be back with you. Good to see you. Yeah, you're right. This video certainly went viral. My issue is look at all the white nationalists that were commenting, and she knows this, on her social media pages. That's what's concerning to me. The hate.
He's mad white nationalists were commenting. His issue is white nationalists were commenting on the video.
Hatred and the white nationalists that are commenting that would be issue number one. Issue number two for me, listen, I have no problem with people coming to this country, learning the language, and taking some classes and learning the history of America and culture. I have no problem with that at all.
This guy just pisses me off. Like, if you're still wearing these type of hats, what is that, a fedora? You wearing a fedora, you have a goatee. And oh my gosh, it's just like you're just these people are just made to just make me mad. Brian Shapiro, and that's the way he talks. He's just always weaseling people into like a gotcha moment. He's always trying to make something, always out for a hit piece. Like Piers Morgan, I mean, they should be on the same show all the time. They're like the same guy.
But what
he's
I
always
want
crying.
in this country, and I think what most people want in this country, is diversity as well. Now, we can go back to her family. I don't know a lot about her family, But in my opinion, a lot of her views and a lot of the stuff that she talks about would lead to her never being born in this country to begin with. And I think that's where she's getting some of the pushback. Listen, I don't support.
That's actually racist. What does that mean? She's against illegal immigration. Are you saying that because she's brown, her family came here illegally because she's brown? That would be racist. So once again, like, these people they're trying so hard to get these gotchas, they don't even realize like what they're actually saying.
Any racism. I don't support some of the hateful comments that she's received. But like I said, there's a lot of comments on her social media and a lot of white nationalists. That's very concerning to me, Piers. And I have a serious problem with that. And that's not culture of America.
He doesn't like white
that's
nationalists.
Where my issue lies here.
Okay. Well, Priya Patel, you're the woman of the moment this week. This has gone massively viral. First of all, are you surprised by how much pickup this has had, this clip?
To be honest, I am surprised with the amount of attention that it's gotten, but not surprised altogether, because I've had a viral video that hit on a very similar point prior to this. It didn't go nearly as viral, so of course that is shocking. But yes, I understand that it is a very provocative statement coming from somebody named Priya Patel. However, of course, these people have no idea about my family history and my background.
Right, which is perfectly fair enough. So let's just clear that up, because I think that's obviously key to the whole debate, because you were born in the United States, is that right?
Yes.
Right, but where were your parents from? Are they from the United States or somewhere else?
My mother is from the United States. My father immigrated here as a young boy, and from England, actually, not from India.
Okay, so he's English? Yeah, he's English, your father, or?
He was born in Uganda, immigrated to England when he was about 3 years old, after the dictator Idi Amin chased out all of the Indians out of Uganda, and waited their turn to be able to come to the United States, and did so when he was in his teenage years.
So you say all the...
Okay, so her father came from Uganda. He was an Indian, came from Uganda to the UK at 3. And so she came in. This is what they want, right? Isn't this the shit that they like advocate for? Seeking asylum and stuff like that. Isn't that what they always scream about? Isn't that what they like? They should be happy right now. They should be like pumped, like, yes, immigration, asylum, woo, diversity. They should be happy about this.
Indian. So is your father part Indian, or what's his background?
My father is full Indian.
He's full Indian. So your father's Indian. Your mother is American, or is she? What is she? What's her ethnicity?
American, yes.
And what's her ethnicity?
On my mother's side, I have ancestry date. Mixed European. She's a half German, quarter English, and then the rest is mixed European. But aside from that, I mean, I have ancestry on my mother's side of her family dating back to the 1700s in the United States. So
okay, so I'm
wow.
Just trying to clarify, because as you
heritage American here.
Not much is known about your family, but a lot of people will say, so your father was an Indian Indian immigrant from Uganda into the UK. You know, how does that sit with you saying what you said? Is your friendly reminder that immigration without assimilation is invasion? I mean, did your father invade the UK?
Did he assimilate? That would be the condition for her to be, that would make it hypocrisy. Did he assimilate? Well, let's look at her. She's American. She's like fighting for American policy. She speaks English. Doesn't look like she didn't assimilate to the culture. She looks like she assimilated to the culture. I'm guessing her dad did as well. By the way, she said her dad was 3 when he got here. So he kind of already grew up in the culture, so he would already kind of be assimilated. So I don't even get the angle he's trying to come from. It just isn't correct. I mean, if her father did assimilate, then it wouldn't be invasion, according to what she said. And I'm pretty sure her father assimilated because he was 3. But even then, immigration without assimilation is invasion. How is it not? How are we not getting invaded if millions of people from other countries come here and they don't assimilate to the culture? What would you call that? It's obviously an invasion. It's obviously an invasion. But because she's Indian, is she not allowed to say that? Does she have to be white to say that point? Because if she was white, then this wouldn't be happening. But because she's half Indian, she's not allowed to say that. And that's and these are the anti-racists, by the way. These are the these are the anti-racists.
No, of course not. But you know, there is a personal duty on the part of immigrants to assimilate to the culture of the country that they are blessed enough to come to, especially when it comes to, of course, that sort of situation. But honestly, anybody that is blessed enough to come to the United States in particular.
The level of contradiction here is hard to miss. Patel's own father was
What
an
contradiction?
Indian immigrant who fled ethnic violence in Uganda. Yet here she is on national television warning about immigrants flooding the country.
Assimilation. Coming without assimilation, she said. Why didn't you miss the part with assimilation? She's not against immigrants. She's against immigrants coming without assimilation. She even just said it. Wait, hold on. Why is nobody listening to what she's saying?
Sort of situation, but honestly, anybody that is blessed enough to come to the United States, immigrants to assimilate. But you know, there is a personal duty on the part of immigrants to assimilate to the culture of the.
There's a duty of immigrants to assimilate to the culture. That's what she's saying. Not just coming here in general, but assimilating so they can become American, so we can all share the same identity as a country. Why are they missing that part? She's clearly not against immigration.
Country that they are blessed enough to come to, especially when it comes to, of course, that sort of situation. But honestly, anybody that is blessed enough to come to the United States in particular.
The level of contradiction here is hard to miss.
This must be
Patel's own
AI.
father was an Indian immigrant who fled ethnic violence in Uganda. Yet here she is on national television warning about immigrants flooding the country. That tension sits right at the center of the exchange. And once the panel starts digging into what she actually means by assimilation, things begin to fall apart even more. The more she's pressed to define it,
Let's see
the
it.
less coherent the argument becomes.
I mean, Brian, look, that is an argument. People say
Shaking his head, just like, how dare you, as an Indian, want assimilation as an Indian? How dare you?
countries, the United States, the UK, others have had big issues with controlling immigration. And a lot of people say if you come to a country from another place and you refuse to assimilate in any way and want to just stay out of the society and culture that you've come into, that people shouldn't tolerate that. What's your view of that argument?
Completely disagree with that. And in my personal opinion, I think in
Of course
a way
he
it's
does.
a bigoted view.
He's Jewish, by the way.
You can come to this country and you could learn about our culture. I have no problem with that. But that doesn't mean you have to abide by our cultures and what we do. The thing that makes America great.
Well, and a Jew is going to tell us what makes America great. But no, you do have to assimilate into the culture. And this is the problem. We have guys like this trying to bring millions of immigrants with their third world cultures that aren't compatible with the first world culture. They're trying to bring those third world. By the way, when you go to Japan, you can't bring your culture. They don't do that. They have their own culture that works, and you follow that culture or you're getting out. Simple as that. Same thing in Poland, same thing in a lot of these countries. But for America, you know, we have guys like this, Jews like this, saying, hey, no, come to America. And yeah, cool, you can learn about George Washington, but make sure that you keep on, eating with your hands and wearing no shoes around in stores in public and doing all this stuff. Like, make sure you keep doing that, because that's what makes this country great. The fact that nobody's alike, nobody's similar, we have no similarities. That's what makes this country great. Does that even make any sense? Like, he's an idiot.
Is our diversity and the fact that there are all sorts of different cultures, people with different backgrounds that live in the United States of America. That's the way it should be.
He said that's what makes this country great. Hold on. America is a superpower. When did they become a superpower? Maybe after World War II, definitely on the founding, building them up, because the founders were brave. They stood against an anarchy. There was no diversity in America when it was founded. The people that founded it and made America, there was no diversity. So the diversity definitely didn't build this country. And then once you get to even the 50s, the 40s, it was like what, 80, 90% white. That's when America started to establish itself as a superpower. So diversity definitely did make this country great. So what is this guy saying? He's just saying a whole bunch of nonsense. Also, when you talk about the best empires in the world, the greatest empires in the world, the Roman Empire, the British Empire. I mean, even if you go back to Egypt, they were all like one ethnic group. They were all one culture, one nation. It wasn't a whole bunch of Asians and blacks and whites and Brazil. Like there wasn't that doesn't exist. All the greatest empires were like homogeneous. The Ming Dynasty, the Mongolians, and with Genghis Khan, these are all homogeneous, one ethnic group. So when he's saying diversity is a strong point, let that be known. This is a new modern thing. That saying didn't even exist like 80 years ago because it doesn't make any logical sense. It's for people that want to destroy America and Jewish people that don't like white people. So, I mean, we could go against the history on that. They because he's Jewish, right? He's Jewish. People from Israel, they say this all the time. America needs to be a melting pot. They need to have all the cultures in here. Everybody needs to melt together and all this stuff, right? You don't have to assimilate. But we go to Israel, what do we see? Do we see diversity in Israel? Absolutely not. Just Jewish. Matter of fact, the only ethno state. So, well, ethno-religious state. So, if diversity is a strength, why isn't Israel diverse?
The idea that people should be forced after they come to this country to do exactly what American U.S. citizens tell them to do is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. In this country, we have freedoms. And when you become a naturalized citizen, and if you come into this country the right way, you should be allowed to do whatever you want as far as your culture is concerned, your religion is concerned. And for somebody to say, you must do this or you must do that, that's against everything the United States of America stands for. And I wish she would at least admit that in this debate.
Okay, well, do you admit that, Priya?
No, I don't admit that. You know, we have cultures and norms that
Hey, that's what's
have a
up.
duty to uphold as a society, and I think that
I like her.
You know, it should be enforced to some
She
degree.
didn't back down.
And whether it's on a societal or a governmental level, I guess that's up for us to eventually decide. But it has to be implemented some way or another.
Well, everybody
Otherwise,
has to abide by the same. Well, look, to be clear, everyone has to abide by the laws of the country that they're living in. Right, so that's just a given in somewhere like the United States or UK. So we can all agree that because that's obviously a fact. But when it comes to cultural differences, in a country of 340 million people, there are obviously myriad cultures, ethnicities, religious creeds, and so on in the United States. It's a real hot potch of people. Famously, it's how the United States was created. People came from all over the world. You know, I'm just curious what you mean by assimilation. What should these people all be doing in a uniform way?
Well, I would disagree with the statement, Pierce, that America was built on the fact that people came from all over the world.
Exactly.
It was a very, very select few group of people that came here to the United States and built it. Of course, since then, we've welcomed a good chunk of the entire world to come to our country, which I would argue is, yes. You said that it was built on the idea that people were coming from all over the world.
Well,
but
the
aside
whole
from the fact,
premise
I'm
of
sure
the United States of America is that people have come from everywhere, right? That's been
the whole premise of it. See, you see him jump on so quick. You see, like, yes, come in and filter out the whites. Yes, look at him, bro. He got a boner when he said that.
That's been the glorious selling point of America is that people have come from everywhere, right?
That's the premise. Once again, that's not the premise. That's not the premise. On the Declaration of Independence, it doesn't say bring all the Jeets, the Patels, and the Mohammeds. That's not what it says. You know, it actually said otherwise. You know, they didn't do this. Like third world immigration is like, I think that came in the 60s on the Immigration Act. They weren't doing anything like this. So this is again more nonsense.
That's been the glorious selling point of the United States, is it's open to all.
No.
You've got to come in legally, and that's been a contentious issue. But once you get
the glorious selling point, 2024 election, what was the biggest concern? 70+% overwhelmingly left and right, Democrat and Republican. What was it? Immigration. Okay, so clearly that's not the selling point. Clearly he's just talking. Even everybody here, Latinos, blacks, whites, we all want to get this immigration thing figured out. We don't want millions of illegals coming in. Like, who is this? He's in the UK. He's British. He's not even American. So what are you talking about?
I'm not sure. As Brian says, why should you feel compelled to abide by a specific culture? I mean, what is the specific American culture, for example? How would you articulate it?
Why exactly, if you didn't want to assimilate to American culture, live as an American, why exactly would you leave the country that you came from to begin with?
Right.
If you're only going to bring your culture's customs and norms and implement them
Maybe
here
the same
and
reason your
completely
father left
disregard that of the
war-torn
American
Uganda.
people.
You know, maybe the same reason your father left war-torn Uganda.
Do you not understand that?
Sure, but if
And he came and
that
assimilated.
There are people that are seeking asylum that want a better life for themselves and their families.
This guy
that are afraid that they could even lose their lives. Do you understand how many people are seeking asylum and are in fear of their life?
What does that have to do with
the statement?
assimilating?
Saying America wasn't built by immigrants from all over the world isn't just a stretch. It's a complete rewrite of history. But
What?
Patel doesn't stop there. She actually doubles down.
What is this voice talking about? Who built America? Where are the immigrants on the founding fathers? Where are the immigrants in the Articles of Confederation? Where are the immigrants in the Declaration? Common Sense, written by Thomas. Was it Thomas Paine? Something Paine? Wasn't that the one of the most critical things wrote to build America? Was that by an immigrant? You could say that black people did a lot of work to build these things, but that's black people, and that they're not even really immigrants. I mean, they're foundationally black Americans. So it was white and blacks. It wasn't immigrants. It wasn't like Mexicans and Asians and all these people. That was America. So once again, I don't know what they're talking about.
And when Pierce presses her on those viral comments where she labeled other countries as third world, that's when the whole thing really comes into focus. Because at that point, the underlying message isn't subtle anymore. It's out in the open, and the framing she's been leaning on starts to reveal exactly what's driving it.
Actually, economic migrants. They're not from war-torn countries or suffering under political persecution.
One of the other comments, Priya, you said, which did get a lot of attention, you said not all cultures are equal, and we shouldn't be importing the third world. So what did you mean by the third world?
I mean, I think that's pretty evident. There are a large majority of countries that are still considered third world. They are not.
Well,
they're not privy to any of the.
Which ones would you say are third world?
I mean, you could take into account a lot of countries in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia.
Well, give me some
there are
names
plenty
of countries
to come from this list.
So he said, "Give me some names of countries that are third world." Remember that he said, "Give me countries that are third world."
Give me some names.
You could probably take in Uganda. For example, would actually probably be considered a third world country
for you.
So Uganda is a third world country for you. And then look at his face. Look at this guy. Look at Brian's face. He's like, Uganda's a third world. It is a third world country. Look it up. What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here? Uganda is a third world country. Literally look it up on Google. This isn't a stance. This isn't a stance, bro.
I would believe so, yes.
Where else do you think is a third world country?
There are parts of countries like Bangladesh and a great many others. But
yeah.
that's somewhat aside from the point.
India as a third world country?
I think there's been a lot of debate whether it is or not. There are certain parts of India that are, of course, very westernized, and
She's
would probably be
handling this pretty
considered
well, though.
a first world country. However, I think there are a lot of parts of India that, yes, should be considered a third world country still today.
And what do you mean by third world? What does that mean?
Underdeveloped.
I mean, we've had a lot of technological advances and societal advances that a lot of parts of the world have not managed to either keep up with or come to that at this point in time.
Why is he making a stupid face?
Can come from these,
Is that not true?
for lack of better words, dated societies and just be placed in America, and they just magically assimilate, especially when we bring them here en masse. I think that is a massive, massive issue because, of course, these people are not prepared for this. I think if we did it on a very small scale, that it could be successful. Of course, we've seen that plenty of times throughout.
And just to be clear, when you say not all cultures are equal, which cultures, in your view, are inferior?
I mean, quite a few, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and call out people's specific cultures. However,
well, which ones? Which cultures?
I mean,
are
why not?
inferior?
Call it out.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Sure, fine. Afghanistan would be a good example.
That's a country, not a culture.
Well, of course, the culture that comes from Afghanistan, we can talk about the Muslim culture that comes from the Middle Eastern countries. I would argue that those aren't particularly
Countries
equal.
have
I mean,
cultures
we see a
too,
lot
bro.
of,
The whole Muslim culture of what,
political
over a billion, well, actually nearly 2 billion people.
I didn't say the whole Muslim culture.
Well, you said Muslim.
You just said it.
Correct.
She said Afghanistan.
Yes, I
The
said
Muslim
some of the Muslim
culture you
cultures that we're
believe
seeing
is
from
an
the Middle
inferior.
East.
Well, just to be, I'm just trying to work out what you believe. So you think the Muslim culture is an inferior culture?
For sure.
In a lot of ways, yes.
You gotta be strong. See, that's what they're sensing weakness here. They're sensing that she doesn't want to be strong on this point, so they're trying to bully her. That's what it is. You gotta say, yes, of course. They stone women, they stone gays. Like, do you want, like, look at you, Brian, you're gay. Do you want to be stoned? You know what I'm saying? You gotta be strong. Niggas would never do this to me, bro. They would never try this nonsense because I would be strong. When you're weak, liberals, leftists, beta males, blue pill guys, they're gonna pounce on that.
Wow.
It's just
Pause.
so ridiculous, Pierce.
My gosh.
This is so ridiculous.
Brian, I think we're
she's
getting to why this comment went viral. Why both those comments went viral.
First of all, it's extremely offensive. I would ask her how many Muslim people does she know, number one. Number two, when you take an entire group of people,
Quite a few, and they're actually very westernized.
No, I didn't interrupt you. I did not interrupt you. Please let me finish. When you take an entire group of people, when you take an entire group of people and say they are lesser than us, that is pure bigotry. And I'm not surprised.
Who cares,
actually,
bro?
I stated in that video my exact. You made an incorrect statement.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, this dude's just pissing me off. The rest is just the same thing. They're just getting mad. They're just trying to fear monger. They're just misunderstanding what she's saying purposely. Like, all this stuff is getting old at this point, bro. You know, they're not really engaging with the argument of how the cultures could be unequal or less valuable, or they're just like, y'all offensive. You're offending the Muslims and you're being mean. But let me know what you guys think. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel for more of these and, some good content. So we'll see you guys soon.